In May of 2021, the script was already written. After decades of playoff agony, the Toronto Maple Leafs were finally about to slay their demons. They were the top team in the Canadian division, stacked with offensive talent, and they were up 3-1 in a series against the oldest, bitterest rivals, the Montreal Canadiens. Pretty much everyone in hockey had called the series for a fan base that had suffered for so long. The second round felt closer than it had in 17 years. This was supposed to be their years. But then the script got flipped. A comeback for the ages started to unfold, driven by a scrappy, underdog Canadian team that just wouldn't quit. What happened next wasn't just a series win for the Montreal, it was one of the most stunning collapses in modern NHL history. This is the story of how the Canadians didn't just win a playoff series, they sorted right out from underneath the Toronto Maple Leafs. They'll really get how big of a shock this was. You just have to understand why a Leaf victory felt like a sure thing. The 2021 Maple Leafs were a force, finishing 18 points ahead of the Canadiens in the regular season. The offense was a machine, led by Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, and Willie Nylander. After losing a tough game one, a game overshadowed by a scary injury to their captain, John Tavares, the Leafs came roaring back. They took the next three games, capped off by a 4-0 beatdown in Game 4, where the goalie Jack Campbell was perfect. The story was all set. Toronto was the better team. They had all the momentum, and the media had basically written Montreal as obligatory. The Canadiens, a team that limped in the playoff, looked completely outmatched. They were headed back to Toronto, facing elimination, and all signs pointed to a quick and painless end. For the Leafs, the handshake line was just one win away. For the Canadiens, it was the start of a miracle. Game 5 is where things started to get weird. Montreal, with their backs against the wall, came out swinging. They shocked the Leafs and jumped to a 3-0 lead, with Joel Armia potting two other goals. It was a chaotic, desperate push, and it looked like they might actually live to fight another day. But the Leafs, like they've done all year, started to call back. Goals from Zach Hyman and a couple from Jake Muzzin tied it, and all the momentum swung right back to Toronto as the game went to overtime. The feeling of it's just a matter of time came creeping back. Then came the moment that changed everything. Just 55 seconds into overtime, Leafs forward Alex Galchenyuk, a former Hab, made a big mistake. He tried a blind pass at the Montreal blue line that was easily picked off by Cole Caulfield. Just like that, Caulfield and Suzuki were off on a 2-0 breakaway. Caulfield dished it to Suzuki, who buried it for the overtime winner, Sun in Scotiabank Arena. It was a brutal self-inflicted wound. The Leafs had completely dominated, but one terrible turnover was all it took. The series wasn't over, it was headed back to Montreal. Game 6 was at the Bell Centre in front of 2,500 fans, the first crowd in a Canadian arena all season. That small but mighty crowd saw the next chapter of the impossible. Feeding off the energy of the Bell Centre, the Canadiens built another lead. After two scoreless periods, Corey Perry and Tyler Toffoli, who I miss very much, on the Habs, on the power play easy early in the third, putting Montreal up 2-0. The Leafs' high-powered power play, meanwhile, couldn't get anything going. But like in Game 5, Toronto fought back. Goals from Jason Spezza and TJ Brodie tied the game, with Brodie's goal bouncing in off a defender to send it to another overtime. Once again, the Leafs had come back from 2 goals down, and once again they took over in OT. It felt like history was about to repeat itself. And it did, just not the way anyone expected. Another costly turnovers by the Leafs led to a chance for Montreal. Jesperi Kotkaniemi found the loose puck in the slot, fired a wrist shot, and beat Jack Campbell. The Bell Center went nuts. On just the second shot of overtime, the Canadiens had won again to force a Game 7. The Leafs stars were invisible, like always, and the killer instinct was gone. They weren't playing anymore, they were playing not to lose. The pressure heading into Game 7 in Toronto was crushing. This was a game that should have never happened. For the second the puck dropped, the Leafs looked tight and scared to make a mistake. The creative, high-flying offense was gone, replaced by a team that looked paralyzed. Montreal, on the other hand, played with a strong, strange sense of calm, led by the goalie Carey Price. Price has been solid all series, put on a legendary performance. He was a brick wall, stopping every big chance the Leafs got. He made a huge save on Mitch Marner and allowed William Nylander on the power play. He seemed to get bigger in the net with every stop, finishing the series with an incredible .932 save percentage. Brendan Gallagher scored for the Canadiens early in the second, his first of the series, and you could feel the air go at his Scotiabank Arena. Corey Perry added another, and Tyler Toffoli sealed it with an empty netter. The Leaf superstar Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner were held to just a single goal between the two of them in the entire series. When the final horn sounded on a 3-1 Habs win, the comeback was complete. The heavily favored Leafs, after being up 3-1, were gone home. The 2021 series between the Habs and the Leafs is one for the history books. It was the first time the two teams had met since like the 70s. But what do you think was the biggest reason for the collapse? Was it Montreal's sheer will, Carey Price's goaltending, or the Leafs just cracking under the pressure? Let me know in the comments. How did the Canadiens steal this series? They did it by just refusing to lose, even when facing elimination twice. They did it with the young guns, Nick Suzuki, current captain, Cole Caulfield, and Jesperi Kotkaniemi, scoring the biggest goals of their lives when it mattered most. But most of all, they did it on the back of Carey Price, who put on a masterclass and was the clear MVP of the run to the Stanley Cup Finals. True. For the Leafs, it was a historic disaster, a tough lesson that being great in the regular season means nothing when the mental toughness to close it out. The Stars went cold, they made bad decisions under pressure, and they committed catastrophic mistakes at the worst possible time. While Montreal celebrated a legendary upset, Toronto was left to face the horrible and devastating reality of another first round exit. It was a series that proved once again that in hockey playoffs, legacies can be made, and even the most certain stories can end in heartbreak.